So, you decided to learn web development, and now you are frustrated what to learn first. Maybe you should start with HTML, maybe you should start with PHP, maybe you should start with JavaScript, or maybe CSS. Well, you don't need none of that for now. No CSS, no JavaScript, no PHP, no HTML. The only thing you need to know is how the web is work. Well, the web development is divided into two parts. We have a front end, also we have a back end. In the front end, we can find that there is HTML, which describes the structure of your website, like adding buttons, inputs, and CSS to add style to your website, like colors, fonts, background, and JavaScript to add actions to your website and the functionality. And the backend, we have a server-side programming language like PHP and a database to store our data like SQL. And remember, every time you visit a website, what your browser do is sending an HTTP request to the server. So the server will process that request and give an HTTP response, which basically it can be a data, and send it to the browser so that the browser show it for the user. Cool. As you can see here, we have a website called goodreads.com, which generates random quotes. So I said earlier that in the front end we have HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So what is HTML here? Well, you can just go ahead and right click on your mouse, click inspect. Now here you go, this is your HTML. Now what is HTML? HTML is how we can say creates the structure of your website. I mean, every element you see here, it created using HTML. So if I go there, this input, it created using HTML. So the developer who developed this website, when he wrote his code on the code editor, he wrote input, as you can see here, and here we go. It generates this input for him. But as you know, it's styled using CSS, because every color you see here in this website is styled using CSS. So what's important for you now is to understand that every element you see here is created using HTML. So this button also create HTML. This text, this image, it's created using HTML by writing this image element here. So don't worry about that for now, because it's easy. HTML, it's easy to learn. And I want to mention something also. I said that every color you see here is written by CSS. So this color here, if you go inspect it, as you can see here, you have a background of this color. So I can change it from here. Let's do, for example, this one. As you can see, this thing here is the CSS. So you have from here HTML, as you can see, elements, you have HTML here. All of these are HTML elements. And on the right side, you can find that there is its style, the CSS style, as you can see here. So here in the CSS, you can do whatever you want, adding fonts, backgrounds, colors, and all that stuff. Now, what is the JavaScript here? Well, the JavaScript is how we can say, the responsible for making the interaction on your website. Let me give you a real example. For example, let's go here. It said in this input, search for books. For example, let's say that any book you want, JavaScript. If I say JavaScript here and hit enter, now it generates this it shows us that there is this book, Eloquent JavaScript, a modern introduction to programming. Now, what does that happen? How that happens when I write here JavaScript, I hit enter, here we go, we get this book, this page. So how does that happen? Well, that happens by JavaScript. So when I click enter, what does the browser do is run the JavaScript and search for that book, sending a request to the server with that keyword JavaScript, and the server will search in the database and find a book called JavaScript or anything like that. Now, when it finds that book, it's gonna send it to the browser, so the browser will show it for us here, as you can see. So generally, this is the idea. This is how the website is work. So don't worry about that. We're gonna go into that when we reach the JavaScript course. But for now, what I do want from you is to understand the HTML, understand how the web is work. So, are you excited to learn HTML? Let's get into it. In this course, guys, I'm gonna use Visual Studio Code as a text editor. Use whatever you want, but in this course, I'm gonna use Visual Studio Code. If you want to download Visual Studio Code, you can just go to the official website, Visual Studio Code. Select the first link. Here we go. Now, as you can see here, you can download it for your system. As you can see, I am using Windows, so I'm gonna click here so that it can download it here. Because I already downloaded it and installed it, I'm gonna cancel that. Now, it depends on what system you have. If you have Mac OS, Windows, Linux. So also there is another text editors like Sublime Text. You can go to sublimestext.com, then download your version. Also there is Notepad++. There is a bunch of text editors, but I think I prefer to use Visual Studio Code. It's good for developing. It will help you a lot. So yeah, in this course I'm gonna use this one, Visual Studio Code, and here we go. Let's get into it. Before we start, guys, I want you to make a favor for me. I want you to make sure you subscribe to my channel and like the video. Thank you. Cool. I'm gonna go, guys, and create a folder here, name it HTML. I'm gonna open up Visual Studio Code. Now, here I'm gonna open that folder that we just created, which is HTML, desktop, HTML, this one, select folder. Now, inside that folder, we're gonna create a file, name it index.html. Now, before I start write code, I want to say something. If someone asks you what is HTML, what you gonna say? Well, HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Now, HTML is the standard markup language for creating web pages. Now, I would like to mention something. HTML is not a programming language. It's not a programming language. So don't say to anyone that I am learning a programming language. A programming language is like a JavaScript, PHP, but HTML is not a programming language. Make sure to know that. HTML describes the structure of a web page. HTML consists of a series of elements like inputs, images, text, and all that stuff. HTML elements tell the browser how to display the content. Cool. Now you are about to write your first line of code using HTML. So let's go in. First of all, we can say hello world. Now if I save that by clicking on this file, save, but if you notice that there is a shorthand for that, you can click Ctrl+S to save. So go back here, click Ctrl+S. Now how I can open this on browser? So the browser I am using Google Chrome. So I come back to this folder that we have created. I open it, as you can see. Now we have here a index HTML with this icon of browser. You can click on that. This is the file that we have created. It's this one. So go back here, click on that. As you can see now, we have seen this hello world that we have written here, over here. Cool. So as you can see, everything you write here, it's gonna be showed here in the browser. So let's say, how are you? Hit save. I save, refresh. As you can see, we have that. Now there is something that I want to mention. In HTML we have a standard structure that we need to follow. So basically, what does that mean? Well, if I go here in Visual Studio Code, if I click on the exclamation mark and I hit enter, it generates this automatically. As you can see, this is the standard structure of HTML file. So every HTML file needs to be like this. So if I go back and hit save, refresh, but nothing's here. Even if we write this, well, if you want to see your changes, you need to do them here in the body. So if I go here and I say hello world, I hit save, refresh, as you can see, we see here hello world. Now what is this? Well, this doc type HTML defines the, how I can say, the version of your HTML. It defines what HTML you're using, because there is HTML4, HTML3, HTML5, which is the last one. Now we have also this HTML, which basically is the root of your HTML file. And also we have a head, which basically defines the meta information of your web page. What does that mean? These are the meta information. For example, you have the title, and you have the viewport, and there is so much more, but for now you don't need to know them. You will know about them until we reach them. So basically, don't worry about that. Also, we have here, if notice something, if I go to here, this head, I said that it contains the meta information of your web page. This is the title of your web page. It appears over here. As you can see, this is document. If I say here my web page, I hit save, refresh, as you can see, it's changed here. So now We have also the body. This is the body. It opens from here, it closes from here. So inside the body you can write anything you want. So here you can write anything you want and it's gonna be showed here in the browser. And this is the close tag of the root HTML. So it opens from here, it closes from here, body opens from here, closes from here, head opens from here, it closes from here. What is HTML element? So an HTML element is defined by a start tag, which is this one, and some content, which is this one, and end tag, which is this one. What does that mean? That means that every time you write an element on HTML or you define an element on HTML, you need to make a start tag, an end tag, and also the content. Let me give you an example. Everyone here knows what is a paragraph. So if you want to define, for example, a paragraph on HTML, what do you want to do is go there, open tag, say P, it stands for paragraph, close from here, and it will Visual Studio Code, it will complete that by the end tag, but on content you should write it here. So say here, for example, I went to London, for example, London. I hit save. This is my paragraph. So I define the paragraph by the start tag and the close tag and also the content. As you can see here, this is the content, this is the content, and the start tag name, and end tag name, end tag name. So basically this is how you create an element on HTML. And of course there is a bunch of elements, but this one just for example purposes. So if I go to my browser, if I save that, if I remove this is for just explaining. If I save that and I refresh, as you can see, we have here a paragraph, our paragraph. So if I go to the browser and right click on your mouse, inspect, as you can see, we see that we have this paragraph here. HTML attributes. Well, let's remove this one. HTML attributes. All HTML elements can have attributes. So, attributes provide additional information about elements. Attributes are always specified in the start tag, and attributes usually come in name value pairs, like name equals to the value. So let's demonstrate this. I said that we can do a paragraph by opening the tag and P, close that, and right here whatever you want. This is my paragraph. This is an element, okay? So also we have another elements on HTML like anchor tag, which is responsible for redirecting you to another page. For example, for open the tag, write A, close that, and there we go. Here you can, for example, say about page, name it like about. Now within here, where you should write your attribute is on the start tag. So here you could write your attribute. So how we can write that? You can just go to there after the tag name, the start tag name. You can write here an attribute. So what attribute you should write here? Every element has its own attributes. There is a common attributes between all the elements, but there is a specific attribute for every element. For example, the anchor tag, it has a href attribute. So we're gonna say href equals and double quote. So here we could, for example, write the name of the page or the path of the page. So if we want to go to about page, we can say here about.html. So don't worry about this now. I am just explaining how we write the attributes. We will go into that when we reach this. So here, if you want to write an attribute, just what do you want to do is to go to the start tag name, which is this one. Then after the tag name, you could write your attribute here. So the attribute name is href, as you can see here, href, and the value of the attribute is about.html. So there is also a bunch of other attributes, but for now I do want you to know that we can define an attribute here on every element. You can't go here and say href or something like that. You can't do that here on the end tag name. So if you want to define an attribute, you could just go to the start tag name, and after this tag name you could write your attributes here. Now let's talk about headings in HTML. So if you want to define a head in HTML, so what we need to do, open a tag, write h, and here you can notice that we have 6 headings. So each head is sized different from the other. What does that mean? The h1 size, font size is bigger than h2, and the h2 is bigger than h3, and so on and so on. So if I go here and write h1 and write here hello world, I hit save, refresh, and this is for this one, I remove it, refresh. As you can see, we have hello world. This is size is bigger and the text is bold, as you can see. So is bold than the normal text. So if I go here, write something here, refresh, as you can see, that is different from this text and this text. So remove this. What we're gonna do also, we're gonna define a next one, which is h2. h2. If you go to that, as you can see, we have hello world, but it's smaller than this one. So we're gonna go to h2, h3, 4, 5, 6. I'm gonna say this 3, this 3, sorry, this for 4, this for 5, and this for 6. I hit save, refresh. As you can see, we have 6 headings. 6 headings here. Each this one is bigger than this, and this bigger than this, and so on and so on. So if you want to define a title in or a subtitle in HTML, you need to use one of these. Now let's talk about paragraphs. So A paragraph always starts on a new line, and browsers automatically add some white space margin before and after paragraph. So I'm just gonna go ahead, I'm just gonna say here open the P, hit close that, and within there I'm just gonna write anything, any text random. I'm just gonna say hello, you are welcome on this a course. So, and say blah 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 blah, something like that, just write. And if I hit save and I go to my file server, right click on the file, open with file server. There we go. As you can see now, we have a paragraph. So this first one, it's not the one that we're talking about, so we're gonna remove that. Just wait a minute. I'm gonna make sure this is good. Yeah, cool. Now you see this thing here, I'm gonna remove this because we don't need this one. Hit save. This is our paragraph. Now if you take a look, this paragraph takes a margin from after and before. So I'm just gonna inspect this show so that I can show you what I mean. If you go there, as you can see, the orange color, it's a margin. Okay, that's a margin that a paragraph takes automatically. And if you want to disable that, for example, you need to say with paragraph margin 0 if you want to disable it. So if I want to do that, I'm just gonna go here, I'm just gonna say margin 0. As you can see, it's disabled now. It has now not margin. But if I remove that, it's now has margin. So basically that comes automatically. It's like that. So, and also you need to know that always when you create a paragraph, it takes a new line. So if I do another paragraph here, I say, for example, this is the second paragraph. I hit save, and as you can see, it takes a new line. It didn't come here. If I that is, for example, another element that is just not taking a new line. For example, span. We can talk about it when it comes its turn. So I'm just gonna say, for example, here hello. Here we go. But if I say, for example, here I span, I don't care. Oops, save. As you can see here, it didn't take a new line. It just comes here. It's close to that in the same line. Well, that's the difference between the p tag and other elements. So as you can see, if I do this, it takes always a new line. It's not like this one. So this is it. Let's talk about the style attribute. So let's get rid of this. I'm gonna remove this. Now let's say that you have a p tag. I have, for example, a title. I'm gonna use head. Remember, we said that if you want to make a title, we use a header. So I'm gonna use this header, second one. I'm just gonna say, for example, football. Now if I hit save, I see that football there. And if I wanted to make a paragraph, I'm just gonna say paragraph like that. And within here, I am gonna generate a random text. So in Visual Studio Code, if you write lorem and hit enter, it's gonna generate random text for you. As you can see here, you can write it whatever you want here. Just this is an example. I am just writing a random text so that it looks like a real paragraph. Now I have the title, I have the text. Now what if you want to make this title with another color? So basically what you need to do is this is where a style attribute comes. So what does that mean? Well, attribute is something that it's inside the first tag of your element. So basically this h2 element, if we go here and say style, hit enter, as you can see here between these codes we can write our CSS. So I'm just gonna say here that I want this to be a color of, for example, this one, aquamarine. Oh, it's not good. Let's make another one. Let's say, for example, let's say this one. Yeah, this one, as you can see, is changed here. So basically what does the style attribute do? It allows you to style the exact element. So just need, if you need to style this element, you can use the style brown color, for example, brown. So this style don't style this one because we route it here on this specific header too. So if you want to also to style, for example, this paragraph, you can just go to the first tag name and say style equals to, for example, color to be, for example, color to be, for example, blue. As you can see now, it's blue. Also, if we, for example, want to change the background of this page, what we need to do, because this paragraph and this header, it's inside this body, which is the parent. So if we want to change the color of this page, we need to go to the parent, which is basically the body, as you can see here, this one. So if I go to the body and they say style, if I say background color, if we say, for example, this one, I hit save, as you can see, it's changed to this color, which is very, very cool. So basically this is the basics. This is just how you can style a specific element. So there is a lot of methods that allows you to style a HTML file, but this one, it's just for styling the single element. So I hope you enjoyed and know what style attribute is, and see you then in the next one. Bye bye. Cool. Now let's talk about HTML comments. So what makes you add a HTML comment to your code? Basically, if, for example, you want to make a side note, for example, if I have here a paragraph that's, for example, blah 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 blah, just random text, and now if, for example, I want to add another one here, for example, I'm just gonna say hello there, what's up. Now if I save that, as you can see, we have this paragraph and also this paragraph. Now I don't want this to be shown here. How I can remove that? Well, if I remove like that, it is okay, it's gonna not be shown here. But if I don't want to remove that, and also I want to this is a side note. So if I say, for example, this is a paragraph, so I'm saying that these are the paragraphs, right? So what if I want not to show this? Well, you can use comments so that you can do that. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna open this tag, exclamation mark, dash dash dash, here we go. It's do it automatically for me. But here we go, you can do this one, open tag name, exclamation mark, 2 dashes, and also space, 2 dashes, and close that tag. Now if you want to write something here, it's not gonna be shown here. So let's just get this one, paste it here. Here we go, save. As you can see, nothing shown here except the paragraphs. So basically this is what you can do. Also, if you want to make, for example, if I don't want to show this one, this for example WhatsApp, I just gonna go here, I'm just gonna say dash dash, like that, dash dash, close from there, I go there, copy this, paste here, here we go, it's not shown. So basically a comment, you can use it in a lot of situations. So in a situation where you can make a side note like this one, you explain what you are doing. And also remember that making a side note in your code, a comment can, and you need to explain what you are doing so that someone that wants to read your code, he can understand it easily. So make sure a good developer makes side notes on his code, so a lot, so all people can understand what he is writing. Okay, so I hope you understand why we use comment in HTML, and here we go, see you then. Now let's talk about HTML formatting elements. HTML formatting elements were designed to display special types of text. Now as you can see, if I go here, I do this paragraph, I do make a paragraph, and inside that I can write anything you want, but I am going to get some random text from here. I'm just gonna copy this, I go back here to my web page and to my Visual Studio Code, and I'm gonna paste that here. Now once you do that, you can see that we have a random text here. Well, this is our paragraph, but look at what's happened here. So to remove this, we just need to comment this, because these are just for a side note. Remember that we studied comments, so basically you can go back to that course, or if you know how to do that, that was awesome. So if I want to comment this, how I can do that? I just open this like that, exclamation mark, dash dash, here we go. Now I'm gonna put this inside of that comment, I'm just gonna do that, and here we go, we did it. We don't see that anymore. So also I want to comment this. Well, there is a shorthand of comment. If you click Control plus slash, it will comment the selection. So I selected this one and I click Control plus slash, it's make it a comment. Now if I go here to this one and they say save, as you can see, we don't see this one. Now we just see this paragraph. I don't need this, this is just a side notes. Now if you want to do a formatting elements, for example, we have this element B. What it can do, if I go to this one and I say before it, I say B, close that, I copy that, put it inside this element, hit save, as you can see it is now bold. Also if you want to make a strong text, which is, he said here, important text, I can go, for example, let's just say that remove it. I want to be a strong, so I'm just gonna say strong. Hit say get back. What is removed? I removed that strong. I take this one, put it inside the remove it, hit save. As you can see, this is important. This is how it's shown here. Now also, if you want to make an italic text, you could do this one. Also you can do this one. So if I go and do, okay, here, say E, there, paste that. As you can see now, the arrived text is italic. Also, if you want to make this one, just it's the same thing as this. Exactly. If you go here, say so you can play with these things as you like. You can discover a lot. There is a lot of formatting elements, but we just see the important ones. Okay, so if I save that, as you can see below it, it's exactly as the arrived. Okay, now if I want, for example, to make a text market, it's market text, I just gonna make this mark. Okay, I'm just gonna go to this one, I'm just gonna say mark, and now if I do mark, oops, and I get this one, put it here, there we go, it's marked here with this color. This is very cool. Now if, for example, you want to make a text smaller, so let's say, for example, you want to make this one smaller. I'm just gonna say here small, let's say, go back here. As you can see now, this talent, ideally it's gonna be a little bit smaller. So what is this word? Well, what is the word smaller? I lost it. Oh my god, this one, yeah, just this one. It's, as you can see, this is smaller than this and this and this. Cool. Now let's see this one, delete, which is standard for delete. If, for example, we want to delete this one, what we can do? It just isn't like deleting, but it's putting is making a line in face of it. So we'll just see what's gonna happen if I say delete. Del. If I get this word, as you can see, this is what happened. This is what del do. You just making a line in front of that word, just like deleting it. Okay, now also we have this ins. If we want to do it, for example, here, I'm just gonna say ins. You can discover a lot of formatting elements. As you can see, it's just this inserted. It's like this removed and this one inserted. Also we have this one, subscript text. If I go, for example, if you wanted to make this one subscript, for example, if we have a 2 square 2, look at how it's here. But if I want to write it, for example, using mathematics signs, I'm just gonna go here, I'm just gonna say here it's how it said here, sub superior. I mean, if I say here, see, and this one, if I do that and they come up here and do 2, here we go. As you can see, now it's in superior. So just like using it in math, this one, yeah, 2 square 2, it's 4. That's very cool. I hope you enjoyed you guys this video, and of course there is a lot of elements formatting, so you can check them out by googling them. So I just want to show you the basics, and you can discover a lot once you need them. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and see you then. Now, to add a color to your web page, you can use multiple ways. So basically, a color, you can define it using its name, or these RGB and hex, HSL, RGBA and HSLA. So I do most use this one and this one, but it's okay to know how to use this. So I'm gonna go down here. I'm just gonna say we have a header, so to make a title, let's say football, hit save, and down I'm just gonna make a paragraph, and within this paragraph I'm gonna make a random text by clicking writing Lauren and hit enter. When you hit enter, it's gonna generate a random text. This is it's available in Visual Studio Code. I don't know if it's available on the others text editors, but I believe it's in the Sublime Text. But it's okay, just random anything you want inside that. I'm just gonna hit enter. I go, you just generate a random text. Now inside this, I am gonna change the color of this one. Okay, I'm just gonna go here. I'm just gonna say style. We did see this, how we can do it. Just say color. Then inside the color, you can choose, for example, a color from here. You can choose whatever you want using the name. So for example, let's choose this one. If I do that, as you can see, it's changed. But if I want to add another color to this one, I'm just gonna say style, color, and within here, for example, let's make it this one. Nice. Now we did define a color using the name, which basically this one. But what if we want to use another one, which is, for example, RGB or hex? So there is a lot of websites that can provide RGB and hex values, colors. So if I go back to this website, it's called htmlcolorcodes.com. If I go to that, and from here you can choose whatever color you want. For example, if you want this color, you can, it gives you the hex and the RGB and the HSL. So if you want this hex, you can just copy this. This is how you can copy that. Then go back to your text editor and change this to this one. For example, we change it to like orange or something like that. As you can see, it changed. Also, you can change this. If, for example, let's say you want to make it like this one. Okay, I copy this, go back to this one, hit save, go back. As you can see, it's changing. Now if you want to use the RGB, this one, all you need to do is just go here and say, for example, RGB. As you can see, then it's this RGB stands for red and green and blue. You just need to make write some values here. I'm just gonna go back here to this website, which is this one. I'm just gonna take the RGB, which is red and green and blue. Go back here. Here we go. We can just paste it here, and there we go. It's still the same thing, same color, just like that. Now if we want to change the background of our web page, you can just, for example, go to the body, because the body, it's the container of these elements. So if we change the background of this, it will reflect all the page. So I'm just gonna say here style, and background color, it's going to be, for example, let's take a color from here. Let's take this one. I'm just gonna use the hex. Go back here, paste, save, go back. As you can see, it's changed here, which is pretty cool. Now if you want to use the HSLI, you can HSLI, that is here, which is this one or this one. You can use this one, for example. You just go here, you can pick that color. This works like percentages, as you can see. I will copy this, I go back here, it's the same background color, just it's changed the way that we define. I'm just gonna use it here. I'm just gonna say HSL. You can pick that, you can change it from here, hit save. It's the same color even if we refresh, which is really cool. So I hope you enjoyed this, guys. It's very easy to find a color, and here we go. See you in the next one. Bye bye. Now let's talk about links. How we can use a link on HTML. Well, a link in HTML allows us to go from a page to another. This is basically the use of a link. So let's go to this website, which is hackerone.com. If I go to this login, and I click on that, make sure to see that we have here just hackerone.com. If I go and click on the login link, it's gonna take me to hackerone.com/users/sign-in, which basically is another page. So this is how the link work. Now let's just see what's inspected. I'm gonna inspect that. As you can see, I inspect this one, login. As you can see, we have here a anchor tag, which is the link, how we can define a link in HTML. And he said that this is the URL of where we want to go if we click this one, and also this is the name of the page, which is really cool. Now let's do that in ourselves. So I'm just gonna go to this one, I'm just gonna do this, and now I did have we can say, you can see that this is the about HTML. I do like to go back here to the index. If you take a look at this, I'm gonna create a anchor tag by the link by using this one. Open up this and write A and close, and within here I should write href. Here I can put the URL, and here I can put the name of the page, for example, about. Now if I remove that URL, and as you can see, it shows here about, because I read here about. If I change to A, it's A, about. Now if I click on this, it's gonna take me to this URL. Well, if I click on that, oops, it's not doing anything because we didn't make a URL here. So here you need to make a page or something that you want to visit. So if I go back here, we created an about HTML. I'm gonna remove it for now. I'm just gonna create another one so you can see how I do that. About.html, hit save, go back here. As you can see, now I am gonna put here about HTML that we just created. Click on that, hit save. I'm gonna go back to this page. I click, it takes me to about HTML, which is really cool. I was in the index HTML, which is the index. We are in the index, as you can see. Now I want to go to this one. Also, we click the about link. This is the about link. I click that, it takes me to the other page, which is about HTML. Let's just remake that. Oops, it takes me here, which is really cool. I'm gonna go back from here. If I want to, for example, here write something, this is the about page, hit save, go back. If I click on that, as you can see, this is the about page, which is really cool. It's similar to this one that we did here. If we go there, as you can see, it took us to this page. So it's similar, just you need to do this URL, and here we go. Now, what if you want to add something that's when you click on this link, it's gonna just open the new page in a new tab. I mean, as you can see, if I click on that, it just changed here in this tab. What if I want to open a new tab and show me that page? So basically, you can just go to this one and say target, and choose the blank, hit save. If I go back here, I click, here we go. As you can see, it opens a new tab of that specific page. Whoa, that's really cool. Now guys, this is how you define a link, an anchor tag, a link in HTML, and here we go. See you then. Let's talk about images on HTML. So if you want to add an image on HTML, you need to open tag AMG and close from here. Also, image has two main attributes. First one is source, as RC stands for source, and the second one is LT, which is an alternate text. So here you need to put your URL of the image. So and here you can describe the image. So here you can describe your image, because if, for example, some reasons the image not loaded or didn't loaded, this text will appear. So let me explain what I mean. Here I'm gonna put the URL of the image. I have downloaded some images here, so you could go to Google, or maybe, I don't know, you have images, put them here inside the main folder. Now when you do that, you probably go and write the name of the image here. So I'm gonna write here nice.jpg. I hit save. As you can see, the image is loaded here. Nice, that's really nice. Now I could also say here, this is, for example, a city. I hit save. Nothing is shown for this, but if I make mistake here, for example, remove the E, it's, as you can see, this is shown. So this alternate text shows when we have problems with viewing the image. Either it's a connection error or mistake from the spelling the path of the image. You know, this could happen sometimes. So image, you could just add, for example, another attributes like width, where I can, for example, say 200. Also here you can pixel, or here you can add height 200 also. If you save, as you can see, we did it. Now also we could, for example, add another image. Let's just add another image. I'm just gonna say AMG. I'm just gonna say this image, amazing image .jpg. As you can see, alt, let's just say C. Also we could say width 200 pixel, height 200 pixel, as you can see. Now guys, as you can see, we added these images and they show the image here. The browser shows the image here. That's cool. Now let me show you something. For example, if you want to add a background image, you could do that with CSS basically. Now you don't know CSS, but just look how I am gonna do that. I have here sky, nice and amazing. I use nice and amazing, and now I will use sky as a background. So if I go to the body, because it's the container of these images, I'm just gonna go here. I'm just gonna say, for example, background style, style. Then inside that I'm just gonna say background image. As you can see, we have an attribute here. Now you could add a URL, and that URL you could write the path of the image. So for example, I write sky.jpg. If I do that, I hit save. As you can see, we added this image as a background. This is really cool. Just this for as an extra, you don't need that for now. Let's go back to the previous state. That's cool. This is how you can add an image on HTML. I hope you enjoyed the video. See you then. Now let's talk about Favicon. Favicon, it's like favorite icon. So what does that mean? Well, any website should have a Favicon. What I mean by that? Let's go to the Google Chrome. As you can see here, we have a website called icons.com, which basically provide 1,000 of free icons. Now, this website has a Favicon. What is it? Well, the Favicon is this little image here. So this image, it's the Favicon. So if you wanted to add it, you basically need to go to your code, and here you could, for example, inside the head, you could add this link. You could just say link, and in Visual Studio it provides you a lot of links. So basically this is for CSS, this for Favicon. So if I click on that, it's gonna generate that for me. So now what you could do is just go, this is a URL of your image. So here you could put any URL of image you want. So for example, I'm gonna go and here on this website, I'm gonna get some icon. I'm just gonna go here. I like this one. I go there. I will download this image, as you can see. Now I'm gonna go and get this image. I'm gonna get it here. I'm gonna rename it Favicon. So I'm just gonna grab it and put it here inside our folder, as you can see. Now I'm gonna go to here. I'm gonna see it that it is here, Favicon.png. I'm gonna go here, sorry for that. I'm gonna go here, say Favicon.png. I hit save. Here we go. Did you see that? Here we have our Favicon image. We added our Favicon image here. So basically, if you want to add a Favicon image, you just need to make this one, this link here, and write the URL of your image here. Basically, this is it. Now, I think this is pretty cool, and see you then. Now, let's see how we can add a page title to your website. So, why we need this page title? We need this to describe our page. For example, as you can see here, if you want to add a title to your web page, you just need to go to the head section, as you can see, to the tag name. You could just go here, say title. You can open from here, title, and close, as you can see. Now, if I do save that, I don't have anything here because I didn't write some. I'm just gonna say here, for example, my web page. I hit save. As you can see, I got that here. So what does that mean? That here you can describe your web page. I mean, for example, let's make this little amazing. I'm just gonna go here and create another page. I'm just gonna call it login.html. Hit save. Inside here, I'm just gonna generate I'm just gonna say that, for example, this is my, for example, h1 login page. Okay, and here in the title, I should say here the title of the page. I'm just gonna say here login. Okay, now when I say that, and I go back here, as you can see, this is the, for example, on here in the main page, you could say, for example, this is the home page. Okay, this is the home page, and here I'm gonna add, for example, a link anchor tag. Here I'm just gonna say login.html, and here I'm just gonna say login. Now, as you can see, we have this link here. Now, if I click on this link, it's gonna take me to the login page. So look what's gonna happen. Now, if I click on this link, oops, it took me to this page, which is login page. And now look at that, this changed to login, because on the login page we have another title. It's Untitled, which is login, and it's shown here. Basically, this is the page title. This is how you can add a page title to your in the HTML. And I hope you enjoyed the lesson. See you then. Now, let's see how we can add tables on HTML. Well, everyone knows how a table looks, but let me just go to this website. As you can see here, we have, this is a table. Let's have rows and also cells. This is a cell, this is a cell, this is a cell, and also we have a header. So basically, this is how a table looks like in HTML. Let's go ahead and add one. I'm just gonna go here. I'm just gonna say here a table. This is how we can define a table on HTML. And every time you want to add something, you need to add a row. Okay, first of all, I'm gonna add a row. How we can add a row? Just like tr and close that. Now we added a row. We need to add a header. I'm just gonna say th. I'm just gonna say here id. This is a titles line. I'm just gonna add another one for a first name, another one for the last name, and another one for the email. Now, if I go back to this page, I hit save. As you can see, we got this. Now, this is the first row. I'm just gonna add the next row. I'm just gonna add a second row, which is tr. Inside the row, I'm just gonna add a cells. So to add a cell, you need to do td. So basically, this td is the first cell. I'm just gonna say 01. Oops, as you can see, it's the ID, and also the first name is gonna be for example, Jack, and the last name it's gonna be, for example, Smith. Also, the email is Jack Smith at gmail. At gmail.com. Cool. Now I'm just gonna copy this, and I'm just gonna copy that and add another one. For example, let's just say this is Lucy Moki. Then I'm just gonna change this to Lucy Moki at gmail.com. Now let's see how we can make this table looks like this one. I'm just gonna go back here. As you can see, we don't have the borders. So how we can do that? Well, we can do that using the CSS. Because you don't know CSS for now, I want you just to watch what I'm doing. So I'm just gonna go here in the head section. I'm just gonna add a style tag. Inside that style, I'm just gonna say that a table, and also the th, and also the tr and the td is gonna have border 1 pixel, oops, solid, and for example black color. If I hit save, as you can see, it looks like this one. But well, let's just say that we want to make it more beautiful. I'm just gonna remove all of this. I'm just gonna make one border. So how to do that? You could just go to here, say border collapse, save. As you can see now, this looks great. Now this is how you can add a table on CSS. So basically you could do something like, for example, more beautiful, make it more beautiful. I'm just gonna go here, I'm just gonna say th. For example, I'm just gonna add padding, let's just say 10 pixel, and from here 5 pixel. If I hit save, as you can see, this is changed. Now also, if you want to make, for example, a style to the tr or td, you could just go here, say for example padding, for example 10 pixel and 3 pixels from the right and down, and from the right and the left. As you can see, we got that. Also you could add colors, you could do whatever you want using CSS, but for now just I am showing you how you can define a table on HTML. You could make it more beautiful, but anyway, just for now you knows how to make a table, and when you reach the CSS course you could make it more beautiful. So this is how you could add a table on CSS, on HTML, sorry, and here we go. See you in the next video. Now let's talk about lists in HTML. Well, we have kinda of 3 lists in HTML. The first one is unordered list, which basically this one, and also we have ordered list, which basically like appears like this one, and also we have a HTML description list, which basically appears like this one. Now how we can define each of one of them? So let's start with this one, our unordered list. I'm gonna go down a little bit here. I'm just gonna say, if you want to define an unordered list, you need to say UL like that. Inside that UL you need to make your items. I'm gonna say align here, for example, let's say here a coffee, or let's get this one item. It's an item. Okay, let's say item. I'm gonna say this is item. The second one is, for example, item, let's just say coffee. Second one is milk, you know, like that. Now if I save that, and I open up this with Five server, so if you don't know how to do that, how to have this Five server, you can just go to the extension, and within here you could just search for Five server, then you can install it and it will appear there. So I'm gonna do that, open with Five server. Now it appears here. As you can see, we have here an ordered list. So here we did an ordered list. I now you can make this a little bit beautiful if you want by using CSS, but for now I am using HTML, just teaching you HTML, just know how to do that, and there we go, you get to an ordered list. So now the second thing is to see how we can make ordered list, which basically it's ordered, which respect the numbering, like this one 1 and 2, the third item, and 4 for the fourth item. So basically how we can do that? Well, we can go ahead and say OL, and here we go. Now inside that we need to, for example, say the items. I'm just gonna say align. I'm just gonna say, for example, London. Also I'm just gonna say let's say, for example, Amsterdam, you know, let's just say, for example, let's just say what we can say here, Algeria. Let's just say Algeria. Yeah. Now if I do that and open up with File Server, I'm gonna go and see what we have. Here we go. We have here a ordered list in HTML. We have this, the first one and the second one, and also we have the third one, which is really cool. Now I'm gonna go ahead and make the third one, which is the HTML description list. Now it appears like this one, but how we can do that? Well, basically we can do that by defining a description list like that, and then what we need is the description item, right? Description term, which basically dt. We do that, and here for example let's say coffee, and now if I go a little bit down, I will do the description. The description, just here you can just for example say this one. Okay, I'm just gonna say this one, copy that, make it here like that one. Okay, this is coffee, and hit save. Now I'm gonna add like milk, white called drink. I'm just gonna copy this. I'm just gonna say milk, white cold drink. I'm just gonna say white cold drink. Nice. If I save that and I go to the browser, as you can see, we have the description list, which basically you have a term here and you have its description down here. So this is how you can define a description list. Now this is how we define a list in HTML. Now you can add your CSS if you want to make it more beautiful, but for now we are learning HTML. So for example, if we want to add a CSS for that, we can just do that. Look, we can go there, we're gonna do for example here style, well just style, and down here we're gonna say for example UL list style none if you want. As you can see, also we're gonna say let's just say for example the ally, which basically it's gonna take a let's just say for example padding of 10 pixel, say for pixel. Now it's a lot like that. For example, let's just say 5 pixel. Now you can add whatever you want. You just say font size. You can just for example do 1.1 rem. You can do a lot more. Also you can for example what you can do else, you can do a bunch of stuff, and just it's like also you can for example add a background color or anything you want. Background color, but just say for example this one, it's add the background for that. Now if I do margin pixel and 0 pixel from the left and right, as you can see. Now if you want to go to the ordered list, also here you need to say, if you want to remove this 1 and 2 3, you can just go there and say here OL also. So as you can see, now basically you could do a lot of things here, but for now we are learning HTML. We will get to that when we reach the CSS course, or when we reach to the end of this course, because we're gonna make a little bit of small website that we can do all of the things that we learned, and we add that using CSS to make a beautiful website. And here we go. I hope you enjoyed this video, and see you then. Now let's talk about block and inline elements in HTML. Well, every HTML element has default display value It depends on what type of element it is. And in HTML we have two display values. We have block and inline. So what I mean by that, if I go a little bit down here and I say, for example, a paragraph, I define a paragraph and I add, for example, anything here I want. So let's just say generate random text using lorem and hit enter. As you can see, it generates a random text. There we go. Let's make this little bit readable like that. Now if I go to the browser, we can see our paragraph without any problem. So this is very, very cool. Now if you go to open the inspect this paragraph and open the developer tools, if we go a little bit down there, as you can see now, I am selecting the paragraph. As you can see, I'm just gonna do like this one. And if you notice something, that this paragraph taking a margin from the top and down the bottom. As you can see, it's 16 pixel. If you can read this one, this list, as you can see, we have a color and we have a font, and also we have a margin of 16 pixel and 0 pixel from and the left and the right. Now this is by default. This is how the P elements have these properties. It takes them by default. I didn't add that. I mean, it comes with it by default. Now I can say that P is a block element. Why is that? Well, because it takes a new line every time I add it. Now if I go and add a new paragraph, if I go to Visual Studio Code and I copy this one, for example, and they go down a little bit, if I do that, it's gonna take a new line. As you can see, it doesn't come near to this one. It takes a new line, and also it takes the full width of the, as much as possible, it takes the width of your HTML document, like this one. Now you can say, you could say for me that, okay, you did it here down to this paragraph. You have this paragraph, and also you have this paragraph down of this. It's basically it's gonna be like this one. There is nothing here. I mean, you can say there is nothing that it's interesting. It's, you write it like that, it appears like that. But I'm gonna say something. What if I go down a little bit here and they say, for example, here a span, and they say, hello, how are you? Oops. Now if I save that, as you can see, we can see our span here. Now if I go also and copy that, as you can see, I added this down of this one. Okay, so let's just say anything here. Let's just say, for example, I am fine. Now I added this down of this one. It should be like this one and this one in a new line, right? Let's see what we have. Here we go. We got this one and we got this one in the same line. Why is that? Why this paragraph, it takes this second paragraph takes new line, but this one didn't take the new line? Whether we did that like this one, I mean, if we did this here and down we did that, this is in new, this appears in new line, but this one didn't appear in a new line. Why is that? Well, because a paragraph, it's a block element, and a span, it's a inline element. So span always don't take a new line, but paragraph take a new line. So we can say here that a span inline element and the paragraph is a block element. Here we go. That's what I want to say. For example, if I go, for example, down here, if I do a paragraph and say anything you want, just write like that, and they go here and they say, for example, span. If I do what like that, what's gonna happen? This is gonna take the whole width of the document, and this one will appear. Well, why didn't this span appear on the same line as this one? Well, because this takes the whole width. So basically, if you do this, it's gonna take it on your line. But here, this span, it's an inline element, which basically this one, if you add a span near to it, it's gonna appears in the same line. So basically what I want to say to you now is that we have block elements and we have inline elements. So what's else we have block element? We have also a div. So a div, if you write something like anything you want, just for example, hello, this is me, a div, and if I do another one, this is me div 2, div me 1. If I save that, as you can see, it takes a new line every time, which is really cool. Now I hope you understand what I did say here, guys. Just make in your brain that we have two kinds of elements in HTML. We have a block element and we have a inline element. So pretty much we have a block elements, we have these two. I have a P and we have a div, and inline elements we have a bunch of them. You can just, for example, there is a lot of inline elements. You could just go to Google and search, say, inline elements in HTML. As you can see, it's gonna appear here. Let's just go ahead. So basically we have all of these elements are inline. If you go there, just copy that, inline elements. So yeah, all of this address, article, aside, block quote, canvas, dd, div, dl, dt, all of these are inline elements. So they don't take a new line when you declare them, but this one, p paragraph and div, are block elements, which basically takes a new line. So basically this is the block and inline elements in HTML. I hope you enjoyed the video and see you then in the next video. Bye bye. Now we're gonna talk about class attribute and ID attribute and HTML. So I'm gonna start with the class one. So the HTML class attribute is used to specify a class for HTML element. So every element on your HTML document can have a class attribute. So if I go a little bit down here, if I say, for example, P paragraph, and they say hello there, basically the P is a paragraph. I wanted to assign a class attribute for it, so I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna say class, and then I'm gonna give it a color. For example, I'm gonna say this greetings. So if I say that, now this one I made a class attribute for the P element. So why do we need this class element attribute? So if you read here, it says multiple HTML elements can share the same class. I mean, I can also create, for example, another for example, paragraph, for example, what you doing, for example, and here I can write, for example, a class saying greeting. I mean the same class name attribute. So basically you can do that. For example, you can do a class attribute with greeting, and also create the same another paragraph with the same class attribute. So basically this is it. And it said here the class attribute can be used on any HTML element. Nice. You can do it, for example, in paragraph. You can do it in, for example, h1. You can say here class, for example, class greeting, anything you want. Just for example, here you can say title. You can do that, yeah, and say here, for example, football. Now, as you can see, what we did here is we made a class attribute for another element, which is here h1. It said here the class name can be used by CSS and JavaScript to perform certain tasks for elements with the specified class name. Why do we need to make this class attribute? Well, we need to do that because, for example, if you want, for example, to do a style for this paragraph, you could go and call that paragraph with its class name. You get the idea? Okay, let's go ahead and make an example. Let's say we have a CSS. I'm gonna make CSS here, style. Oops, style. Yeah, nice. Now, if I said, for now, if I want to, for example, make a color to this paragraph, or add something like color, anything I want. So for example, I'm gonna open this with file server so we can see what we have in the browser. As you can see, now what I am going to do, I'm gonna say I wanted to style this one and this one. How I can do that? Well, I'm gonna call them by using this greeting attribute, this class. I'm gonna go there. I'm just gonna say, so how we can call that? You can just make a point and then write the name of that class attribute. I'm just gonna copy this, put it here, and open this curly bracket, and here you can make your style. I'm just gonna say, for example, color. It's for example, I'll just say blue. I hit save. As you can see, it changed here. For example, I want to say font size. It is, for example, 1.6 rem. As you can see, now it is has more size. Now, if I want, for example, to give a background, I'll just say, for example, this one. If I do that, as you can see, it has a background. I mean, this one greeting and this one, we made a style for them using this attribute. So this is basically one of the uses of this class attribute. Also, you can use it by JavaScript. For example, I know that you don't know here now JavaScript, but it's a great idea to understand why we use that. I mean, you know, we call that by using this name. So we named it greeting, and we so another time if we want to call it, basically we call it with its name class, you know. Nice. Now if I go down a little bit, I know you don't know how to use JavaScript, but I'm just gonna give you an example. So I said here that the class name can be used by CSS and JavaScript to perform certain tasks. This is the task for this CSS. Now how we can do that with JavaScript? I'm gonna go down a little bit here. I'm just gonna say script to write some code using JavaScript. I'm gonna say here I want this one. Okay, I want this one. I'm gonna or I will do I'm gonna call this one, this title, using JavaScript. So how I can do that? I'm gonna go and just say, for example, const. I want the title. I'm just gonna this, you name it whatever you want. You can just for example, your title. And then here, what I'm gonna say, document dot query selector I'm just gonna, or you can just say dot get element by class name. What is that? Get elements by class, get elements by class name. If I do that, I'm just gonna give it the class name. It is title. We want this one. We're gonna do it here. Now if I do that, if I go a little bit down, if I say console.log your title, if I do that, oops, I'm just gonna expect. I'm gonna see here we have we see like I logged this one, so I can see what is inside this your title. I mean your title, I select it by using this one. Now I want to see what is inside that, so that's why I did console.log your title. So we get this one. It's like a collection, an array. I'm just gonna get the first element, which is this one. As you can see now, I am getting this title. I selected it using JavaScript. How cool is that? Now you can do whatever you want with your elements. You can just, for example, make a, for example, you can make change, you can make whatever you want. So if I say here, for example, using JavaScript, I want to, for example, when someone clicks on this, so let's just say, for example, add event listener, click, oops, I'm just giving you an example. I'm just gonna go down. I'm just gonna say, I want to console.log, oh, you made click. I'm gonna do that. So we said that when someone click on this title, your title, which is basically this one, we're gonna log this one. So, or you could make alert. So we're gonna make alert, so we can show it in the document. So I'm just gonna click on that. Here we go. You see, we get here, oh, you made a click. So basically this is how we can use JavaScript. I hope you understand what I am saying here. Now there is also something called, so we are done with this class. I'm just gonna go to the ID. So also it's the same thing, but the ID is basically used to specify a unique ID for an HTML element. So basically when you use the ID, you can't, for example, made an ID multiple times. I mean, if I go down a little bit, I'm just gonna say, for example, we have a paragraph. This paragraph, for example, let's just say lorem, generate some random text, hit enter. Now within here, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna give an ID here, attribute, so ID, then I'm gonna give it an attribute. So I'm gonna say, for example, here, my paragraph. I'm gonna do that. Now if you take a look at this, I made a attribute which is ID, and I assigned my paragraph to it. So basically I did that. Now you cannot have more than one element with the same ID in HTML. So if we have, for example, another element which is P, for example, and here, for example, let's just say anything, London is nice country, right? Now if I go here, I say for example, ID, my paragraph here. This is wrong. You can't do this. I mean, you can just have this, you can't have the same ID for multiple elements. So you need to change this. Don't do it like this one. You could just have another name. Maybe you can just do for example, my paragraph 1. So you can't have the same paragraph or ID, the same ID for multiple elements. So I'm gonna get rid of this. Now we have this one. It's the same thing. If we go to browser, you can see that we have here our element, as you can see, which has a ID of my paragraph. Now if I want to style this, I'm gonna go to the style. I'm just gonna say hashtag my paragraph, and I do curly brackets. Now I'm gonna say here, for example, line height, for example, 1.5 pixel. If I do that, as you can see, this is not good. If I do rem, it's, as you can see, we got this one. Now if I do, for example, here font size, for example, 1.6 rem, it's a lot. Let's just make 4, nice, or let's just say 3. Now if I do this, you can do a lot of stuff. Maybe you could say background color, it's going to be this one, as you can see. Maybe you could add padding. You don't need to know these things now. I'm just giving you an example. These are CSS properties that we're gonna learn in the future. So I'm just gonna say, for example, here 10 pixel, 5 pixel. I hit save. As you can see now, it is more better. So basically what I want to say here is we have, if you want to style your elements using CSS, you need to, for example, give a class attribute here. Now if you want to call this element with its class attribute, you could just go to the style and make a point and that name a class and do your CSS here. The same thing for the ID, where you can just have ID and you give it a name, then go to the style, make a hashtag, then make your name of the ID and make your style. So basically it's pretty much the same thing, but the only difference is that you can, in class attribute, you can use that name multiple times, but in the ID you can just use it once. You can't do another element with the same attribute ID name. So basically you need to change that. If you have, for example, another P, you don't need to make the same ID. So if you want to use the ID on JavaScript, so we saw how we can do that using CSS. If you want to see how we can use it in JavaScript, you can just go ahead a little bit down here, or you could just go there. For example, you can say here const my paragraph. As you can see, you could show now here say document.query select, or you could just get element by ID, which is this one. I'm just say here my paragraph. Now if I say that, and here I'm just gonna my paragraph dot add event listener, click here, you could just do this, and within here what I'm going to do, when I am saying when I click on this one, I want to make something. So I'm just gonna say alert. Oh, you clicked my paragraph. Now if I do that, I go to the browser, I click on that, as you can see, oh, you clicked my paragraph, which is really cool. So now guys, I showed you how we can do that using CSS, and also how we can use it in JavaScript. So this is how you can use them. This is the daily use of the CSS and the ID. So in the future, when you will be a web developer, this is how you will use the ID and the class attributes. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys, and I see you in the next one. Bye bye. Now let's talk about HTML forms. I believe, guys, that each one of you have a social media account like Facebook or TikTok or Discord or anything like that. I believe that every time you make login to your account, you write in your email or phone number here and also a password and click in the login. So what you are doing is writing your information here in this HTML form, which is basically what we're gonna talk about. So basically you write your name, email, phone number here and the password, and you make a login. So this data, your data that you wrote here, it's gonna be sent to the server, and the server will check for that. I mean, it will check your email if it does exist in the server, or it does exist an account for this email, and it checks for the password. If it is right, then if it's everything good, it's gonna redirect you to the home page, to your account, which is really cool. Now this is how the form works. So we're gonna make this one just like this one, but we don't want to make a server because you don't know how to do that for now. You just need to, we need to show you how we can do like this one and write your data here. So let's just go ahead to the Visual Studio Code. Now an HTML form is used to collect user input. As I said, you can write here in the input like your name, email, anything that you want to write. And also the user input is most often sent to a server for processing, like your email and password. It's gonna be sent to the server and it will check if those information are right. Now the form element is a container for different types of input elements like text fields, checkbox, write buttons, submit buttons, and so on and so on and so on. So let's stop talking, let's go ahead and make our example. I'm gonna go down a little bit. If you want to create a form in HTML, you can just write form, then close that. Here we go, you make a form. You made a form. If I hit save, if I go to the browser, but I can't see anything here. Why is that? Well, we have that here, we have here our form, but we didn't make anything on it. So we're gonna make what we want there. So I said here that the form element is a container for different types of input elements. What does mean input element? Well, input element is this one and this one. So the input element is where you write your information. Basically this is it. If you go a little bit down there, I'm gonna go to the Visual Studio Code, and within the form I'm gonna write here a input and they close like that. So it's a self-closing tag. You can't make another, for example, like this one. You can't do that. You can have like self-closing tag like this one. Now if I hit save, as you can see, we got our input here, which is it is inside the form. And also the input has multiple attributes. One of them is, for example, if you go to Facebook, they made email or phone number inside that. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go and make the same thing here. I'm just gonna go there. Here, if you want to make the same thing as Facebook did, email or phone number, I mean, if you want to write this information inside the input, you could just say placeholder, and here you could just say email or phone number. If I hit save, I go to the browser. As you can see, we have email or phone number, which is really cool. We're gonna make another one. I'm gonna say copy that, and within here I'm gonna write like password. So I'm just gonna say password here, password, hit save. As you can see, we have email, phone number, and we have a password. Now we're gonna add a button, this one, or so how we can do that, basically you could just go there. So here I'm gonna show you something also. In the input we have another attributes which is type. I mean, in the type you could specify what type of input, I mean what you're gonna write inside this input. There is, for example, text. If you want text here, so if you make here, you can write your text or your name, your email, your phone, anything you want. And also basically this is a input, so we made it text because we're gonna write here our email or phone number. So it's okay, we need to do text here, but here with basically a password, you can't just let it like this and you write your password. No, we need to protect that. How we can do that? I mean, I want to write, but no one can see what I am writing. So basically, if you want to do that, there is attribute. You could just say type, and there you could say password. Hit save, go back, write that. Here we go. No one can see what I am writing, which is really cool. Now, if you want to add this button here, which basically is an input, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna say here input, then the type is submit. So the type is submit, I hit save, as you can see we got submit here, which is really cool. If you want to change the name of this submit, so Facebook they made it login, and also we need to make that. So I'm just gonna go there and say here value login. So I'm just gonna do that. As you can see, it changed here, which is really cool. So basically this is a form. This is how a form needs to be. Now if you want to make it a little bit more beautiful, we're gonna go to make a style. So we know how we can make it in the, how we can make attributes here, class attribute. I'm just gonna say class, name it form, and here I'm just gonna make a class. I'm just gonna say form elements. I'm gonna make it for all of this input. Also this is a unique input. I'm just gonna say ID. I'm just gonna say input submit, hit save, and they go to do hit. I'm just gonna say style, and in here I'm gonna say dot form. I'm just gonna say display. So you don't need to know this, what I'm going to do now, just you need to know these things, how to declare them. But for now, this I am going to do this to make it so more beautiful. You don't need to see what I'm doing now. If you don't want, you can just skip that. But if you want to learn some CSS before learn it, this is the way how you can do that. I'm just gonna say display flex. As you can see, flex direction column. Now I'm just gonna say here a width. I'm just gonna say person. Here we go. I'm just gonna say gape. Let's just say 10 pixel. Here we go. I'm just gonna say also form element. So how we did name that? Oh, it's form element. I'm just gonna say form element. I'm just gonna say padding 10 pixel, 5 pixel, hit save. As you can see, I'm just gonna border reduce 5 pixel, border or just say 1 pixel, solid gray. Here we go. Also we need to target the form submit. This is how we wrote that. Input submit, just like that. Now it's an ID, so we need to make hashtag here. Oops. Within here, I'm just gonna say padding a pixel, 2 pixel from left and right, and border reduce border reduce 8 pixel. Now this is, I'm just gonna say background color, it's blue, as you can see. Color, it's white, as you can see. I just made it to be a little bit beautiful. So this is how you could add a form. You could just make this thing have a form container and inputs and input of submit, and here we go. This is, you can how add a form. Also, there is something here you can add in the form. You can add a attributes called here action. Well, why we do that? Well, when you we need it when we making we can say we need to send it to the server. So basically here in the action, when you wrote here the name of your page, for example, let's just say login.php. So basically when you do that, you're gonna send this data to this file, and you took this information from this file inside this file and process them and check if those information are true, so you can redirect your user to the home page. So just don't worry about that. The only thing you need to know from here is how to make a form, add inputs inside that, and there we go. This is what you need. You don't need to style that. I just did that for your favor. I mean, I just want you to see how we can do that. And here we go. I hope you enjoyed this, guys. See you in the next one. Bye bye. Now let's talk about post and action attributes that we can use on form. So basically, for example, when you go to a submit data, or you get the data from the server, you need to specify the type of the method. So basically, now if we go back here, I'm just gonna say here method equals get or post. I can do get or post, but it depends on what you want to do. For example, if you wanted to send data to the server, you need to use post. So if I do post here, and now I go there and I do, for example, email Ahmed at mail.com, for example. Now if I do a password here and I hit login, here we go. It redirects me to the login PHP because I said that action is login.php. But of course I don't have the login.php here, so it will not show up here. So the important thing to know is that when you wanted to send data, you need to use post. But if you want to retrieve data, you need to use get. I'm just gonna go back to get so I can show you what I mean. Now if I do get here, I want you to take care of the URL. I want you to keep looking to this URL. So what's gonna happen there? Look, I'm just gonna ahmed.@mail.com. If I do that, and also if I go here and write the password, if I hit login, oh, did you see that? I have here email equals this one, and the password equals this one. Wow, how cool is that? You know what? This is not secure at all. Because if someone is near to you, when you type this information and you click login, it's gonna see this information and he maybe can steal your password. So what I wanna say is, if you wanted to get the data from the server, you need to use this get. I mean, get data that is not important, you know, like posters that are public. But if you wanted to send the private data, important data like passwords and all that stuff, you need to use the post method. So if I do here post, and as you can see, I did here post because I am going to send sensitive data like password and email. So if I do that, I do post, I go back here, I do email, my email at gmail.com. If I do here password, I click login. Did you see? I can't see now the information that I sent here. So basically that's what I want to say. So let's go ahead to this website. It said here HTTP request methods. So basically these methods post and get are HTTP requests. Then there is a bunch of them. There is get method, which basically the get method request a representation of the specified resource. Request using get should only retrieve data. You see that? Should only retrieve data. So you don't need to send data using the get method, because when you send data using the get, maybe you're gonna send a sensitive data, or so basically if you want to get data, you need to use the get method. We have head, that is not important for you now. We have the post one. It said here the post method submits an entity to the specified resource, often causing change in the state of side effects on the server. What does that mean? So for example, now if I write my password here and the email, and I click login, now what I did is I sent this information to the server. So if you heard about PHP, which is a server-side programming language, so for example, if you go to the this page and create this file, and this file login.php, and also you was for example connected to a database. Now when you send that data, this data will go to the server, and you can retrieve that within this file. So basically this is what the action do. You can find this information that you wrote, like email and password, on this file. Then you're gonna get those information and process them. I mean, by process them is to, for example, check in the database if you have someone that has this email and this password, and then you can check if it's true. You can redirect this guy to the home page, which is really cool. So basically this is how the action and method property attributes works. So also there is something I want to add, is that the post also it said here, can make change in state or side effects on the server. For example, maybe you wanted to, I don't know, you can for example edit a post using the post because you wanted to send data. You can also add a post on the database. For example, like Facebook, there is a bunch of posts. So basically what I did, for example, if you want to add a post, you can write the description and the content of the post. Then what you're gonna do, you click publish. Then Facebook developers, what they did, just they took the data, they used the post method, and they took the data, and then they inserted the data into the database. Then for example, when you come back to your Facebook, the home page or your profile, they will use the get method so they can retrieve your posts. How cool is that? I hope you understand what I am saying here, guys, and this is how you can use the method post and the action, the method attributes like post and get, and also the action attribute in the form. This is it. See you in the next one. Bye bye. Now let's talk about input types. In HTML we have a lot of input types. We have like button, checkbox, color, date, email, file, image, number, password, radio, checkbox. I have a bunch of them. So basically let's just start and see each one of them. So I'm gonna go there. I'm just gonna say this is input type button. So if you go there and say input type button, you do that, you get this one, but you need to give it a name. So basically I'm gonna give a name for this button. Let's just say, for example, value login. If you do that, as you can see, you have a button with a login name. So basically this is it. This is how you can define make an input as a button, or if there is something called button also, you can do like this one. Okay, so both of them as the same thing, just the same, but here there is a lot of properties you can add here. One of them is on click, for example. So when you on click, you can use a function, JavaScript function here to for example make something. I mean, when I click this login, I'm gonna make something using JavaScript. So basically this is it. So let's go ahead and see the next one, which is checkbox. If I copy that, I go back here, we're gonna have checkbox. As you can see, we have this one, which is a checkbox. Nice. So this is the checkbox. You can use it, for example, in anything you want, like checking, for example, choosing something. Let me give you an example here. I'm gonna go here. I'm just gonna say, for example, let's just say a div. Inside the div, we're gonna say we have, for example, h1, h4, hobbies. If I do that and I go back here, and inside that I'm gonna say label, and I'm gonna say here, for example, football. If I do that, so basically, as you can see, the checkbox shouldn't be here, it should be here, the first one. I'm gonna go ahead, say like that. As you can see now, the hobbies, like the hobbies football, you can check that. For example, you like for example, let's just say handball. As you can see, you can make here BR, so it can be new line, as you can see, for this one, and for this one. So basically remove this one. Oops, I made a mistake. Yeah, as you can see here, we have, for example, in the hobbies, you can choose football, you can choose handball, you can choose whatever you want. So basically this is what a checkbox means. Now now if for example, let's go ahead, you can make this disabled, this input checkbox disabled. If you go there, disabled, if I do that, now you can't check this or uncheck it. So basically this is disabled. So now what I'm gonna be doing, I'm gonna go to the next one, which is the color. So basically I'm just gonna go there, I'm just gonna say input color, so make here BR. As you can see, this is a color, like color picker, if you know that. It's just choosing a color if you want, this input type of color. As you can see, it generates a color you want. So basically change whatever you want, and you take the RGB color or the hexa. As you can see, you can change it from here, make it HSL or hexa or RGB, whatever you want. So this is the color input. Now I'm gonna go to the next one, which is date. If you do that, if you go here, say BR, if you do date, as you can see, now you can choose date you want. So basically, for example, let's choose this one, which is 21 May 2023, as you can see here. So basically change it to color you want from here, whatever you want. as you can see. Nice. Let's go ahead to the next one, which is the date local time. I'm just gonna do PR. Let's see. As you can see, this is the date, and also it can gives you the date and the time, both of them. So basically you can choose a time here, also PM, as you can see here. Nice. And you can scroll to see a lot of values. Nice. Now let's go ahead and see the next one, which is email. So basically if you go there and say email, as you can see, this is type of email. So basically you can type here for example a.com. As you can see, this is type of email. Also we have here file. So basically if you have a file you want to send it to the server or upload a file, what you want to do is basically do this one. So you're gonna have like a file here, input file. You can choose a file from here, as you can see, and you choose for example this one. As you can see, we have here choose this image, which is this .png. Nice. Also we're gonna go to the next one, which is hidden. This input of type hidden is basically not shown here. It's here but not shown. I'm gonna show you what I mean. If I go to the inspect this, I'm gonna go and this, as you can see, it exists here. The input hidden exists, but it doesn't appear. So if you want to, for example, put data on this input, it's gonna take that data and you can send that to server and all that stuff, and just it's just hidden, you know. It's do its job, but it's hidden. So basically this is what type input do. Now if I go to the next one, which is image, if I go down a little bit, so if I do PR, so this image basically you can give it a source if you want. So I'm just gonna go ahead and choose an image from here. Let's just say amazing.jpg. If I do that, as you can see, what does this type of image do is submit. The submit button is like an image. Okay, so if you want to put a submit button, submit input like an image, you can do that. So you can do, for example, here click on that and something is gonna happen. Your data is gonna send to the server, as you can see. So just this works like a submit input and with the just like an image, as you can see. Now let's go ahead and see the next one, which is the month. We have month here, so let's just check that out. I'm just gonna say PR month. I'm just gonna remove this, or I'm gonna put this. Okay, I'm gonna just I'm just gonna give it a width so it gets a little bit smaller. I'm gonna say width, let's just say 10, and the height also 10. I'm just gonna save that. As you can see, we have that now. You can change this. I'm just gonna say it. Nice. Now we have this one, which is month. Oops. Month, it's basically choosing the months, as you can see. This month, which is May 23, and here, for example, join, you choose the month. Basically, this is for months. Okay, it's like date, but it chooses like just the month. Now let's just go ahead and see the next one, which is month number. So basically, you're gonna have like choosing numbers. I'm just gonna go ahead. For example, here we can choose the number, as you can see, up, down from here. You just, for example, you have negative values, as you can see. And also here we have something called the attributes. So in this one we have, for example, the max attribute. If I go here, for example, as you can see, I can go up to 10, but if I go here and say max is 10, I can't go up of 10. I'm just, as you can see, I can't go the value, it's not gonna be like, how we can say, up to 10, you know what I mean? So I am clicking here, but it's not getting up to 10. So I'm gonna go, for example, and choose the mean here to 0. If I do that, and if I go back here, I do 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, it's the maximum. 9 10 maximum. If I go down, 0 is the minimum, as you can see. Nice. Now if I go to next one, which is the password, if I do that, I go back here, I'm just gonna say here PR. As you can see, you have here, if I type, it's like password, you can't see what you have here. So here you can do, for example, though, there is an attribute called the max length. That is different between max and max length. So basically the max is specifies the maximum value for an input field. Value, which basically like number, you know, the number, it's not gonna be like up to 10, you know, and the but the max length is specify the maximum number of character. Now in the password we have character, as you can see, so we can use this one, which is max length. If I say max length, for example, 8, so you can type here values that are so you can't type values that are greater than 8. So character greater than 8. I'm gonna go ahead, for example, I'm just gonna type. So as you can see, the number of characters here, the maximum is 8. I can't write more than 8 character. And also the minimum, you can do the min length. So basically, for example, if I do here 20 and here I do 8. So basically, someone who wants to type the password, it should type at least 8 character and until a 20 character. So he can't type more than 20 character and he can't type less than 8 character. So basically this is the max and the length what's do. So if I go up, we're gonna see the next one, which is input type radio. If I go there, if I do like this one, as you can see, we have here a type radio. This is like BR. If I do that, for example, let's just say here, let's just say we have a div. Let's just say we have a label here. Let's just say, for example, anything you want. Let's just say for example, Ferrari. As you can see, you can choose. It's like working like the checkbox. As you can see, you can do more. For example, Lamborghini. You can choose whatever you want. As you can see, you can make someone it's disabled from here. Disabled, as you can see, it's disabled. Now if we go a little bit up, we have a range. I'm gonna copy that, go a little bit down. Range, basically the range input is work like, for example, you put here for example 100, and here if you say, for example, the mean is 0, and here you say step, for example the step is 20, and the value, let's say it's begin from 20, as you can see. Now this is 20, this is 40, 60, 80, 100. So basically this is 0, 20, 40, 60, 80, 20. You can change that from here. For example, if you want the step to be 10, you can just, for example, 10, 20, for example, it's begin from 20, as you can see. If I save, it starts from 20, so we have 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. As you can see, you said that here step is 10, and the maximum is 100, and the minimum is 0, as you can see. And here you write the value that it's gonna start from. If you write here 0, this is gonna be here, it starts from 0, as you can see. Nice. Let's go ahead and see the next one, which is the reset. So the reset one is like, I'm just gonna go ahead, I'm just gonna say here PR. So the reset is basically, what this do is resetting all of the values. Let me show you what I mean. If I go here, for example, for the email, if I say here, for example, name is email, and here if this is the name, it's attribute for this input, so the input name is email. So if you want to select this when you send your data, if you want to grab the data, you can just grab it using this name property attributes. So if I say here name email, if I say here, for example, value is I at, for example, at email at gmail.com. If I do that, as you can see, we have I at gmail.com. Now if I, for example, now if I go here, let's go ahead and just add this for the password, for example. Let's just, for example, let's just say name password, and also this is the, let's just make it also for the, what is this password number. We have, for example, the number, if we say value 20, as you can see now 20, let's just name number. Now let me show you what I mean. Now if you take a look at this thing here, like this email, and for example, let's just say here a value John. If I do that, now we have this value of John. Now what I want to say is, what does this reset input do is resetting all the values. So if I click on this, now if I go here, for example, and change it, let's just say here, for example, B, and change this, for example, male, and here let's just say Amir, and here I'll just say like that. Now what if I click on this reset? What's gonna happen is it's gonna reset all of these values to the default. We have value at, this is the default value for this input, it is I at gmail.com, and for the number is, what is the number here, which is this one, it's 55, and this for the, this one, which is the, this input text is Amir. Now if I click on this reset, it's gonna get to the default. This Amir will be John, and this 55 will be 20, and this email is gonna change to the default. Look at that. As you can see, it changed that. So basically this input, what is doing is resetting all the values to default, the values of the input. Nice. Now let's go ahead and see the next one, which is, for example, search. The search one is just like the text. It's just like the text one. You can write whatever you want. As you can see, just to have a main difference is that when you write that, you have this thing here, where you can remove your text. As you can see, it's like that one. For example, this is search. You can just say placeholder, for example, search, and as you can see, you have search here. So basically it's the same as this one and this one, but you have this thing where you can remove the text. Nice. Let's go ahead and see the next one, which is the submit. We have seen the submit previously, but okay, let's replay that. We have this submit. What does this submit do is basically let you submit the form. I mean, if you have a form and you want to submit your data, you just need to click on this, and all of these values is gonna go and submit to the server, as you can see. Nice. I'm gonna go and see the next one, which is telephone. Input type of it. If I go there, here you can type a number or anything you want. Basically it's like if you want to put a telephone number phone or something like that, you can put this input type. Let's go ahead and see the next one, which is the text. We have seen it here. It's basically writing the text. So here you can place holder, for example, username or email. As you can see, this is the placeholder. So basically why this is not shown, because of this value. If you remove that, as you can see, this is the placeholder where you can type username or email. Let's go ahead and see the next one, which is time. If I go a little bit down here, if I say BR, if I say time, as you can see, you can choose a time from here. You can choose a time, as you can see. Nice. Let's go ahead and see the next one, which is the URL. This is like where you put a URL. You can put whatever you want here. It's a URL, as you can see. Also, we have a week. It's basically like date, but you could you are just making a weeks. As you can see here, we have a weeks. You could choose like weeks here. This is the, how we can say, the 18 week in 2023. As you can see, it's begin from 1 to 7. The 18 week is begin from 1 May to 7 May. So basically now we are in the 20 week, because we are in 21. The day I am recording this video is 21 May. So basically we are in the 20 week of 2023, as you can see. Basically these are all the inputs, but I will show you something here. So basically there is some attributes I didn't mention here, like the read only. So basically the read only, what does do, if I go for example to this one, for example, if I make another input, like input, okay, let's just go ahead to this one. Okay, this one, if I do here read only, if I do that, you can't type in. I am typing, but it's not typing. So basically if you make this attribute, the input is not gonna be you can't type on it. It's just for reading, you know what I mean. Nice. Now if I go to the next one, which is required, so basically if you say that this is required, you need to, so when you submit your data, it's not gonna accept that until you, for example, write this one. So required is very important if you don't want to, for example, the user submit blank data to the server. So basically this is very, very important. Let's go to the next one, which is, for example, which is like checked, or yeah, checked is like this one. For example, I'm gonna just go to this one. I'm just gonna say checked. This is Ferrari. What is Ferrari here? This one. If I save that, as you can see, it's checked automatically. You know, if I remove this, it's not gonna be checked. I am refreshed, but it's not gonna check. I do checked. As you can see now, it's checked by default. Nice. I think this pretty much it for the input types, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I see you in the next one. Bye bye. Now let's see how we can add a select tag on HTML. First of all, I'm gonna go here and say open the tag, say select, close that, and I hit save, and as you can see here on the browser we have this select, but we have nothing on that. We need to add options on this select. So basically I'm gonna say option, first option, and that option I'm gonna say we need to add a value attribute. So we're gonna say value, so for example audio. If I do that, nothing's appearing here, so in order to see it we need to add it here. I'm just gonna say here audio. Now as you can see, the audio is added. If I want to add another one like BMW, I'm just gonna say BMW, hit save. As you can see, BMW added here. Now within here we're gonna add attribute like the name, let's just say cars, ID, let's just say cars. Also what we need to do is we need to add label. In this label we're gonna say cars, and on this label we're gonna say here select your car. As you can see, I'm gonna add a new line over here. I'm just gonna say BR. As you can see, now I'm gonna add a new car. Let's just say Nissan. Oops, nice. Nissan over here also. Let's just see. As you can see, I'm gonna make, as you can see here, the selected one is the first one, which is Audi. Always when I come to this page, I see the Audi is selected by default. If I want to change that, it's easy. You can go to the targeted option. For example, we want Nissan to be selected by default. I go to Nissan option. I'm just gonna say here selected, hit save. As you can see, Nissan always selected. Nice. I think that's pretty much it for the select tag, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I see you in the next one. Bye bye. At the end of this course, guys, I want to say thank you for watching this video, and also make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the videos that I am adding, and take care. Bye bye.